Hello, continuing from our last video, we're going to be talking about carbohydrates right now in our Biomacromolecules playlist. We're going to start by talking about monosaccharides. So where we had monomers before, we now have monosaccharides. And that's just a fancy way of saying a monomer of sugar. So monosaccharides. You can see I'm still getting used to this tablet, and my handwriting is crazy. So monosaccharides, meaning single sugar. Just one of them. So I introduced you to glucose before. So glucose is an example of one. We also have many more though. We also have fructose. You may have heard of that one. Ribose. This is a component of RNA, sorry. Deoxyribose is the component. Deoxyribose. That's a component of DNA. This is a component of RNA. You'll be introduced to these soon. Galactose. Some crazy names for these. Galactose. As well as other ones. That's pretty much all you need to know about monosaccharides in terms of mono meaning one. So they're all going to be one unit, whether it's like this, like glucose. You characterize them by how many carbons they have. So ribose, deoxyribose, it's a 5-carbon sugar. Usually represented as a pentagon structure like that, although usually better drawn. Moving on to, we have disaccharides. Now disaccharides, just like dimers, they are composed of 2 units, so disaccharides. And they'll be formed with a condensation reaction, broken with hydrolysis, just as before. The interesting thing about these is that they're very good for gaining energy from. When you break them, you now have single units you can turn into energy. So they're good for energy. An example of that one would be sucrose. Very sweet. Maltose, and lactose. You may be allergic to lactose, maybe lactose intolerant. So they're going to be composed of 2 sugars. And finally we have polysaccharides. And polysaccharides are not as sweet as a sugar you normally have. So polysaccharides, they're going to be the polymer. Poly for polymer. Polysaccharides, saccharide for sugar. And they're going to be long chains. And you'll find that polysaccharides are mainly going to be either storage or structural. Storage. So they may store energy, or they may be used for structure. So an example of when it would be used as a structure is in chitin. What makes the exoskeletons of beetles and things like that. Cellulose makes up the cell wall of plants. Also, some of your bone matrix is also made of polysaccharides. So that's an introduction to the carbohydrates. You'll find them absolutely everywhere in biology, including DNA and also storing energy. Next we're going to talk about proteins.